Nau mai, haere mai, ki tēnā kaupapa. Ko Nicola, aho?
Ko Joe, aho. This is part 2 in a series of presentations focused on sharing our Tiriti journey with you. In the first presentation, we shared how it began. And in this presentation, we'll share the steps we took to bring our Tiriti framework into being. One of our first tasks was to understand what this was for us, how it connected with who we are, and how we could judge if the actions we took would create something that we and others could experience as meaningful. Bobby Jo facilitated this by sharing some resources she had gathered from other places that spoke to these questions and encouraged the team to begin with the question of why this process mattered to us. Some examples from the team when we asked the questions, what is our why? As you can see, a variety of things that were articulated, and they connected to personal ethics as well as team values. And when it came together, this was our starting point for creating a framework that connected the current and future actions of our centre explicitly to Te Tiriti. So there's a sense of responsibility. It is a deeply personal sense of responsibility as well as ethical and a legal obligation to become good treaty partners. There was a fit with PCR aims, purpose and values, in the sense that we can't not do this if we're going to truly live by and embody our values. There was a need to embed it in a more natural yet active way. So natural because it should be part of the fabric of what we do, yet active in a recognition of the need to actively and explicitly recognise our privilege and our history, and because we are embedded in dominant discourses that will perpetuate inequity unless we have that active intent. And finally, making explicit our need for ongoing growth and development. So it provides a context for individual and collective growth to grow our confidence and competence in what it means to be in relationship with Te Tiriti and how that is reflected in our practices.
In our second visit to Te Herenga Waka or Orewa Marae in 2019, we took a deeper look at the articles of Te Tiriti in a workshop run by Kai Whakahaere Kiriama Nathan. As we discussed our understanding and how that could be reflected and applied in our PCR work, we found ourselves anchoring back to the connections with our PCR values. We saw an opportunity to really examine the intersection between the articles of Te Tiriti and our PCR values and wanted to explore if this might be a way of showing how we could bring Te Tiriti to life in our everyday work. We began this as a small group drafting exercise over a series of hui involving both of us, Bobby Jo Wilson and Greta Smith, our program manager. Necessarily, it was playful to start. We didn't know if this kind of matrix would work, what it might look like, what the unintended effects of doing it in this way might be. We grappled with the language. What words do we use to stay true to Te Tiriti while also giving life to that in our work as PCR? We worried about diluting the importance of articles or of subsuming Te Tiriti within our values rather than reflecting it in our aspirations. To help us, we drew in a range of examples of how the articles had been defined and brought into action in different contexts. We were confronted with the reality that this was aspirational. We were not yet doing what we wished to be, and it would need to become a guiding force for future actions and decisions. Bringing it back to the wider team brought more debate and discussion about language, fit, and what it might mean to really commit to this as part of what and who we are. Our first iteration mapped the 4 articles of Te Tiriti with our 4 PCR values, and each intersection articulated both concrete commitments and what it would be like to see, hear, or feel this in our action.
So in 2023, we returned to share where we had landed with Te Herenga Waka o Orewa, both to honour Kiriama and the marae and acknowledge their place in our journey and to seek their support and kaitiakitanga for our direction. So in our first presentation, we shared at the beginnings. In this presentation, we've shared the steps we took to bring our Tiriti framework into being. And in our final presentation, we'll share how we're living our tiriti framework in our everyday work.